The word problems for this particular unit are especially easy because in each case I will give you the equation that you are working with. From there you just need to plug in the given values and solve. So let's start reading number 1. 2.5 years ago, I would start to take notes here. That tells me time is 2.5. 2.5 years ago, Connor deposited $1,500 that he earned at a summer job in his bank account. He earns 7.5% interest annually. Now he is withdrawing the money and interest to buy a car. Use the formula. So there you go. In each one of these, it'll say use the formula, and then it'll define all of your variables. So I have the formula A equals P times 1 plus R, all raised to the T, where A is the amount of money in the account. Okay? A is the amount of money in the account after T years. So that tells me A is how much he's withdrawing today after T years. So we know T years is 2.5. If the interest rate is R, remember when you plug in interest rates into a formula, you need to plug in the decimal version. And it says the beginning balance is P. From there, all you have to do for every single word problem is plug it into your calculator. Once you plug it into your calculator and hit enter here, you will see that he should be withdrawing $1,797.27. What you are going to have to use in your calculator is a lot of parentheses. Sometimes you might want to do these in stages and just leave the answer in there and keep going with that answer. But all these questions, every single word problem, is plug the numbers into the equation and solve. That's it. There's nothing else to these word problems. So our answer would be here $1,797.27. So let's take a look at the next one here. Since carbon-14 is present in all living organisms and decays at a predictable rate after death, archaeologists use the amount of carbon-14 left in a fossil to estimate the age of the fossil. This is commonly called carbon dating. The approximation number of milligrams A of carbon-14 left in a fossil after 5,000 years can be found using the formula. There we go. There's our formula. That's what we were reading that whole thing to find. Where A sub 0 is the initial amount of carbon-14 in the organism. Find the amount of carbon-14 left in an organism that contained 500 milligrams of carbon-14. So it's saying right there, it originally contained 500 milligrams. We are going to plug that in. 500 times 2.7 raised to the negative 3/5. Make sure you put that exponent in parentheses in your calculator. Otherwise, your calculator will raise it to the negative third, and then it'll divide that whole number by 5. If you plug it in right, you should get 15.46, which looks like it'll be the amount of carbon-14 in milligrams left in that particular organism. Again, write the equation down, plug in the numbers it gives you, and solve using your calculator. That's all you need to do. Let's look at number 3. A technician tuning a piano. That's what this scenario is about. The frequency of the note A, note above middle C, is correctly set at 440 vibrations per second. The frequency, F sub n, of note N, notes above A, should be, and there's our formula. Okay, take note of the formula. This one asks us two different questions. For letter A, at what frequency should the technician set the A that is 1 octave or 12 notes above A above middle C? Well, there you go. It tells us right there. It's 12 notes above. Do you see the little N right here? That N would be 12 for letter A. We have 440 times the 12th root of 2 raised to the 12 minus 1. Again, you'll probably have to pause this video in between so you can type these into your calculator, but all I'm looking for is that you can correctly evaluate these. For letter B, it says middle C is 9 notes below. What do you think that means? Below compared to above. Hopefully you're saying negative. So in this case, 9 notes below would be -9. We're still using that same formula, plugging it into your calculator, and done. Again, every single problem. Just like this one. We have a basketball. Okay, great. Here's the formula I want to use. Letter A says, find the radius of a woman's basketball if it will hold 413 cubic inches of air. Well, V is the volume of air. So I'm going to plug in 3 times the 413 divided by 4 pi, all raised to the 1/3 power. Now, these are the type of questions that you have to be very careful how you put them in your calculator. So I am going to put in a parenthesis. You know what? I'm just going to do the numerator first. I'm going to do 3 times 413, enter. And then I'm going to say I want that number divided by parenthesis 4 and pi. Notice the use of the parentheses. Then I'm going to raise that number to the 1/3 power. Do you see how I was able to put that in using individual steps, but still utilizing parentheses here? The radius for this particular ball is 4.62. For letter B, it says find the radius of the men's basketball if it'll hold 455 cubic inches. Again, radius equals 3 times 455 divided by 4 pi, all raised to the 1/3 power. Go ahead and pause, plug this into your calculator. You should get 4.77. For the last one again, you're looking for this formula right there. It says, suppose a culture of 100 bacteria to begin with doubles every 2 hours. Then the number n of bacteria after t hours is given by this. How many bacteria will be present after 3.5 hours? Well, there you go. 100 times 2 to the 3.5 over 2. Time is 3.5 hours. You might want to evaluate this part first, then multiply by 100. I get 336.36. This is bacteria, so it's probably 337.